Welcome to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, and we are again being presented by MainStreet BookEnds here in Warner, where they want to provide the community with a local bookstore that meets all of your reading needs and that reflects the amazing talent of local writers and artists. Today, we're back here in Warner, where we hear all about Warner's 250th anniversary celebration that has already begun. We'll revisit a piece that we did with Neil Nevis on the Feed Kearsarge effort. We'll visit the folks from the New Hampshire Telephone Museum and hear what they have planned for 2024. But first, these messages from the good local businesses that are making today's show possible. Remember, buying local is an important way to sustain the communities and programs we all love.
This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge, Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.
The American Red Cross blood supply is at historically low levels this winter, and we're facing a dangerous situation across the country. Without the blood they need, hospitals may be forced to make tough decisions about patient care. Donors are needed now to ensure blood is available for everyone who needs it when they need it. The good news is, you can help. Make an appointment to give now. Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. Patients are counting on you.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind. Take this time to talk and get it right. You know I'll be there all your life. When you need me, I'll be by your side.
Little everyday conversations about the dangers of underage drinking can make a big difference in a child's life. Talk, they hear you.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. Let's now hear about the 250th Warner celebration.
So Warner is celebrating its 250th anniversary this year. We became incorporated on September 3rd, 1774. But of course, people have been living here for thousands of years, indigenous people. And they were traveling up and down the river systems here, the Warner River, the Kentucky to the Merrimack. And Warner tried to become established with settlers from Amesbury, Massachusetts in the 1730s and 40s. And they built 5 crude log cabins. They tried to start working on a mill. They would come up here during the summer months and go return to Amesbury. So it's really not until after that that Warner starts to have a flood of settlers arrive and then start the community, which would become a township in 1774. And that was granted by the King's Council. We were not independent at that time. And the settlers had been calling it New Almsbury because they had come from Amesbury. But governor and council wanted the name to become Warner, probably after men from Portsmouth who sat on the King's Council by the name of Warner. So Warner is defined really by the river that runs through it. It bisects practically half of Warner, where Warner was going to be settled first in Davisville along the river, where the mills were eventually established, and then coming up through what we know today as Lower Warner, Bagley, the Warner Village, Waterloo, Roby, and Melvin Mills. So April 4th at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, the Warner Historical Society invites the community to come and share about why Warner. How come they're here? Did they move here? Has their family been here for generations? We want people to share their stories. On April 6th, back again at the Town Hall with the Warner's Agricultural Commission, we'll be talking about Warner's agricultural history then and now, looking at photos from the past and photos of what's happening with agriculture today in Warner. April 12th, this will be a different venue. It will be at the United Church of Warner, again at 7, with a presentation of the Warner Woman's Oral History Project dramatic reading. It had to be done, so I did it. In May, we'll be involved with Spring into Warner, which is on the 18th. We're revealing a large cake on the lawn of the Sugar River Bank. Jim McLaughlin has handcrafted, beautifully carved signs for both the Dalton Covered Bridge, or Joppa Bridge, some people know it as, and also the Waterloo Bridge in Warner. We're working with the New England Covered Bridge Association on a booklet they'll be producing about covered bridges and railroad covered bridges that existed along the Warner River, and that will come out later in the year. May 27th is the annual Memorial Day Parade that we do in conjunction with the American Legion. Kearsarge Regional High School Band will be playing music and will lead us on the parade from the Town Hall up to the Pine Grove Cemetery. And the American Legion will be having an open house to recognize veterans. June 15th, here at the Historical Society, we'll be opening up our exhibit of Warner's 250 years. And that exhibit will be open on Tuesdays from 1 to 4 and Saturdays 10 to 1 from June throughout Fall Foliage Festival weekend. Then we have some fun music. Nick's other band is going to be playing down at the Jim Mitchell Park. We'll have food, there'll be raffles, and they'll play probably from 5 to 8:30. July 4th is always a big event here in Warner with the July 4th Pancake Breakfast starting 7:30 to 11 at the church in Warner. Accompanied with a new activity, we'll be having a blueberry and strawberry bake sale at the same time. So you can come have breakfast and get your dessert for later in the evening. August 25th is going to be the Lower Warner Meeting House annual church service that we do in conjunction with the United Church of Warner. And that will be starting at 10 a.m. We're doing a town reads, which is going to read about Warner's town history written by Walter Harriman. And that will take place on September 8th at the Town Hall at 4 p.m. September 14th is another big day. That's the Incorporation Day. Caleb Parsons is going to be reading the proclamation that declared that Warner had become a township. And we'll have music by the Hopkinton Town Band, and we'll be providing hamburgers, hot dogs, chips, and drinks. So that will be starting around 4 o'clock on that Saturday. October 11th, 12th, and 13th, Fall Foliage Festival. The theme is Happy Birthday to Warner. So there'll be, hopefully, lots of interesting floats for the parade this year on Sunday, which starts at 1. All the museums will be open with exhibits. And on October 14th, which is Indigenous Peoples Day, we'll be having a planting of an elm tree in the Arboretum up at the Indian Museum to celebrate that day. November brings Veterans Day. And with Veterans Day, we're going to work with the Legion to produce a little history of the American Legion Hall being built in 1930s. And we will also be having probably a supper at the Town Hall to celebrate this event. We will have our final closeout event at the Mount Kearsarge Indian Museum on December 21st, where we'll have a winter solstice event with bonfires, cocoa, s'mores. People can write their resolutions and throw them into the bonfire and send good wishes for Warner to celebrate their 300th anniversary 50 years from now. Some other things that are happening is that a Warner coloring book is being developed and will be published this year. The second history of Warner, that went from 1875 to 1974, has been out of print for a long time. So we are in the process of republishing that book with 60 new photographs. Another thing that we've done is we've developed a really fun activity for families to do called Favorite Corner of Warner. We have a poster that you can pick up at the library, the Historical Society, Town Hall, Sugar River Bank, or Cafe One. Go to your favorite place in Warner, pose with the poster, take a selfie, and upload it to our Facebook page, and we will print them. And then at some point this year, we will have a program showing Warner's favorite corners. We also have a lawn sign that we've developed called Celebrate With Us. The signs are $15. It's a fundraiser, and you can get those signs at Sugar River Bank or at the Warner Historical Society. We hope by the end of summer they'll be sprinkled throughout the community. T-shirts and hats are being designed, and we'll probably also have an event at the Lavender Farm. sometime this summer. So things keep happening. You have to stay tuned. You can keep track of what's happening by our Facebook page or to the website or to the Kearsarge Area Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you for your efforts towards this wonderful and historic celebration. When we return, Neil Nevis of Main Street Warner Inc. will be joined by some folks to tell us about the Feed Kearsarge initiative. But first, please keep watching your Yankee Chronicle as we hear from another one of the fine businesses that are involved in making this show happen. Please stay with us.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Because when you talk, they hear you.
Welcome back to your Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel, your host. Feed Kearsarge is not a slogan, but an action. Tell us what makes it so, Neil.
Thank you, Abby, and welcome to the Jim Mitchell Community Park, Main Street Warner's wonderful stage and amphitheater. But this morning, we're at the Children's Park, the last part of the park to be developed. And the plan is to create a more edible landscape on this side of the park, growing food, vegetables, nuts, fruits, berries. And later on, we're going to be introducing a lot of interactive elements for children. We're fortunate to have Andy Jeffrey here, as well as Meg Whittemore, with Feed Kearsarge and Kearsarge Neighborhood Partners. So, Andy, could you tell us about these two wonderful organizations and the effort not only here in the park, but throughout the Kearsarge region?
Thank you, Neil. Feed Kearsarge began in 2020, and it stands for Food, Education, Expansion, and Distribution. And it's a cooperation between a number of organizations, including the Kearsarge Food Hub, Kearsarge Neighborhood Partners, Spring Ledge Farm, Colby Sawyer College, Main Street Warner. And we've been focused on, since the beginning of the pandemic, what can these organizations do to help people become secure with their food? And one of the programs we began with was Tray It Forward. And Tray It Forward was designed to grow vegetable seedlings and to distribute them to people with food insecurities throughout our region. And in 2020, we thought that was a great idea, but we learned at the end of 2020 that just giving people vegetable seedlings doesn't inherently make them a farmer or a gardener. And so in 2021, we began the Victory Garden program and established Victory Gardens here in Warner and in Bradford and at Colby Sawyer College, where people are free to come and learn how to transform their vegetable seedlings into edible foods. And the reason behind all of this isn't just about food. It really, I'd say, even has more to do with community, because the whole label of Victory Gardens was something we borrowed from the World War II effort, that during the war, people were encouraged to grow their own gardens to take some pressure off the food supply chains. And it really turned out to be an amazing community building opportunity. And that's where KNP, Kearsarge Neighborhood Partners, comes in. We looked at the opportunity to add another Victory Garden, and we found folks to cut up these boards, this nice hemlock, and installed the garden. And then we got the tray from the Tray It Forward program. And from there, Neil, somebody planted it, and it's turned into this wonderful thing. Why don't you tell us about that?
Thanks, Andy. This coincides with opening up this part of the Jim Mitchell Community Park in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic and responding to that crisis by MainStreet Warner starting their Farms and Food Project.
And one of our first stops was across the street at Meg Whittemore's home, and we delivered plants, and she planted them, and they grew amazingly, and she's given us feedback, and we've shifted into a container garden format because of her feedback. But I want to introduce Meg Whittemore. She's one of the stars of the Tray It Forward program.
I don't know quite how to react to that. It's true. 2020, Dorothy and Andy came to my home with a small packet of seedlings. I had, over the years, collected all kinds of containers. I've lived in mostly small rental properties, so I didn't have an in-ground garden to dive into. So it was not just the seedlings. It was the information that they also shared, that Spring Ledge Farm and KNP and Feed Kearsarge came together, printed information that gave me the guidance to understand what each plant needed in a container rather than the ground, in terms of what kind of soil, what kind of root growth they needed, what kind of space, what kind of feeding, etc. So I had all of these containers, some of which were my storage containers I just drilled holes into, and garbage cans and things I found at the dump. I figured as long as it's clean, as long as it's up off the ground, because I basically, as you'll see, my garden sits on gravel, which is on top of a propane tank that services the restaurant next door. But what I found was, if I paid attention, if I educated myself, if I read the materials, if I chatted with people, I could grow a garden that would produce food for my table. So my background here was, I was a client of the Warner Food Pantry. And I found myself in financial difficulties and welcomed the support that they had. And through that connection, I met all of these marvelous people who were addressing what I felt was a community inspiring effort to help us, those of us with financial challenges, to take a bit more responsibility for our own food production. And what it's turned into, I think this must be the fourth year I've done it. First couple of years were, I was learning. This year, it's just an abundance that I honestly can't even describe. I mean, my squash plants are inhabiting rock crevices, and the tomatoes are growing into trees, and it's just an extraordinary abundance this year. But what I have found is that in my growing and my sharing of information with fellow clients at the pantry or just with my neighbors, the whole theme of community developing opportunities is taking hold. It's taking root, literally. And I remember growing up with this sort of kitchen garden, is what we used to call it, and sharing the bounty, which I've already started to do. And I can't say enough about these programs. I mean, we are so fortunate to live in this community with the kind of organizations that support all of us who believe in community building efforts. And this is one that's just so much fun to watch things grow from tiny, tiny little plants. I love it.
You can find out more information about these wonderful community-based organizations at their websites. And again, we're grateful for these organizations and the opportunity to collaborate with MainStreet Warner and help to feed the community. Because of these wonderful organizations, the work of Main Street Warner, this is another reason why we always say there's something wonderful happening in Warner.
Thank you all for this amazing effort. What a true community undertaking. When we come back, we'll hear from the New Hampshire Telephone Museum and what they have in store for 2024. But first, a word from an underwriter that makes this show possible. Please stay tuned.
This program is supported by MainStreet BookEnds of Warner for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. MainStreet BookEnds of Warner.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope, furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how, and we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids need to know the dangers and how to avoid them. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids, because when you talk, they hear you.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from Main Street BookEnds right here in Warner, and the neighbor to the New Hampshire Telephone Museum right down the street. We're talking everything Telephone Museum, because there's so much to talk about at the Telephone Museum.
There's so much, Abby. There's so much going on. There always is.
There always is, and I always find something so fascinating about the Telephone Museum is that you think, okay, the telephone, we all know what it is, and you are constantly changing exhibits, you're pulling things in and out, right?
Absolutely.
All the time. So tell me about the exhibit right now.
Well, this year we're also, along with the townspeople of Warner, celebrating 250th. So we've got a nice little small special exhibit called The Lines That Connect Us.
Great
It's going to be totally cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the smaller things that we're doing, believe it or not.
Okay.
The museum, every year, as you just said, we do so many new things. We have given it an absolute total refresh this year.
Amazing.
One of the coolest things is we have a new science room that we're building. We don't want to tell you too much about that. That's pretty exciting.
Give us a teaser. Give us a teaser.
Right, teaser. Let's see. The education coordinator, Megan Hurley.
Okay.
We worked with Harvard, the Boston Children's Museum, a local business, Mentis Sciences, which is around the corner. They're all helping us build this science room. It's going to be a game changer. It's pretty cool.
And when do you expect it to be open?
Well, we're hoping, keep fingers crossed, that we will be open in May.
Okay.
The museum opens in March, actually, but May is the full season. So May to October is when we super get busy.
Yep.
And this year, we're hoping to surpass last year's visitors numbers.
Ooh.
We're hoping to get maybe more than 4,000 people to the
No way.
Hint, hint.
And you have such a wide variety of people that come. You have a lot of school groups that come,
Absolutely.
camps that come, and then people that are just kind of. I mean, it's a unique thing to have a telephone museum.
It's very unique, and it's a great location. You know, people come up to ski, or people come up to the Lakes region.
Yeah,
we get lots of people from the Massachusetts area. Although we get a lot. Last year we had a family from Belarus. We get tons of people. It's
you
crazy.
need one of those maps where people can plug where they're from. Okay,
we
good.
just got one.
Because
It's
Belarus,
great.
I wouldn't even know where that is.
Exactly, absolutely.
How exciting.
Yeah.
I also think one of the best things, and one reason we love coming to Main Street BookEnds, and Catherine puts together such a variety of people to talk to, is you all work together. So you're saying with the science room, you're working with another organization right in town.
Absolutely. It's the only way, quite frankly, it works. You've got to partner with people. We live together. Why not work together?
Right.
So, and Warner's a small community anyway.
Right.
Regardless, you want to stay friends with everyone that surrounds you, and this is a perfect way to do that. We love working with people.
Definitely, you rely so much on that. Yeah. Talk about what you do in the off season, because right now, currently, it is your off season, and then you said you ramp up when it gets a little bit warmer and nicer.
I can't wait.
Yes.
If you can tell from the bags under my eyes, this is our busy time of year. We always say that, and it surprises people.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, the museum is closed to the public January and February, because what people don't necessarily understand is during those short 2 months, 8 weeks, absolutely everything for the season has got to get done. So it's a tremendous amount of work. So we do a lot of the behind the scenes development, research, creation, and then of course, just like every other business, you've got taxes and insurances to prepare. You've got all of that maybe not so fun things to do.
Yes, the admin stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're constantly working right now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I always like to say a destination like the Telephone Museum, someone's watching who is brand new to the area or just visiting, give us the quick elevator speech of what you can expect when you go to the Telephone Museum. Because it's not just the name, the Telephone Museum. It's fascinating.
We've been actually asked a lot why we're not changing the name.
Oh.
If it were easier to change a business name, we might.
No kidding.
Because we're actually a communications museum. So the first thing I would absolutely say is, if you think you're just walking into some old danky place that has just a couple of phones, you are so wrong.
We've seen a rotary phone. Next.
Oh my God, it is so hands-on. It is so fun. We've got tons of interactive. We do offer guided tours, which are a blast. So there's so much more. Plus, it is a destination location. So it's not just us. Spend the day. Come here, have some lunch, grab an early dinner, come to the beautiful bookstore, come back and forth to the museum.
Totally.
You can do whatever you want. It's a great place to spend the day.
And the best part about Warner is you can park in one spot and then you just walk both sides.
Exactly.
How
It's
perfect.
I love it.
Well, we always love touching base with the Telephone Museum because there's so much going on. People, I'm sure, stay up to date with you on social media and the website.
Absolutely. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Of course, you're welcome to call us.
Okay. I hope you have a phone at the Telephone
Museum. We do have a phone, absolutely. Just so everybody knows, NHTelephonemuseum.org has all the information. It's up to date, and of course, it's got a phone number and email, so you can call.
Well, keep doing wonderful things for the Telephone Museum and the town of Warner, too. It's so great to always check in with you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
If you haven't visited the museum before, you owe it to yourself to drop by and view this unique collection. Next week, we'll again be coming to you from MainStreet BookEnds here in Warner. We'll hear about the New Hampshire Performing Arts Program. Buttonwood on Main Street in Warner is a new shop right across from MainStreet BookEnds, and we'll get to introduce their offerings. And we'll close with another seasonal message from Pastor Charles Glidewell as we approach Easter. Tune in to our Game of the Week, highlighting our local teams on NCTV 8, TDS TV 13 and 1013, and YCNNow.com. Our airtimes are every Sunday and Monday at noon and 7 p.m. and anytime on demand at YCNNow.com. Check the program schedule at YCNNow.com for the most up-to-date information on games, Yankee Chronicle, and specials. We'll see you next week for another edition of Yankee Chronicle with another round of your who, what, where, and when show of the Lake Sunapee region. I'm Abby Peel. Spring is right around the corner, everyone.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. MainStreet BookEnds of Warner, for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. MainStreet BookEnds of Warner. The Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.